Welcome back to another Stampede Blue Colts cast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Matt Danley. Thank you guys for coming back to the show. Back on YouTube for the first time in a while. Sorry, had a lot to kind of get together over here in my office, so to speak. So getting all that squared away now, and we are good. Colts come out on top in Oakland, 42-28. Big win for the Colts. Go into the bye week 3-5 now. Heavy AFC South schedule in the second half of their season. This is setting up for a solid run for the Colts. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go through a bunch of takeaways of mine from the game, and also wanted to make sure we plug this as well. TickPick has a new promo code for us right now. We're going to get to that in the middle of the show, probably here in about 10 minutes or so. So make sure you guys are standing by for that. It's another great offer. The first promo code got abused. For some reason, there was something messed up with the promo code itself, and it had just like allowed people to use it like 20 or 30 times or something. So, I mean, glad you guys used it, but apparently it was not designed for what it was able to do. So, anyways, like I said, another big game on the road that the Colts come out on top 2 weeks in a row where Marlon Mack has over 100 yards rushing. We'll get into all that. Let's kick this bad boy off. So here's some takeaways. These are kind of spotty. These are kind of just random takeaways, but we'll discuss as we go. So the Colts in the second half, I put this on Twitter and I just thought it was really impressive. How impressive that the offense was in the second half. They had 28 plays. Okay. Their last 2 plays were kneel downs. I did not count those. In 28 plays, in the second half, the Colts only faced a third down opportunity 4 times. That means they got first downs on first and second down a lot, right? I mean, they were driving the ball down. Andrew Luck was phenomenal. It was great to see 4 third down opportunities, and that's it. Excluding that final kneel was on third down as well. Like I said, I did not count those. And they scored on 2 of those 4 third down opportunities. That's pretty stinking good, right? I wish I would have looked to see what they did on the other 2. I'm pretty sure that they actually, one of them I think might have been a field goal. No, it wasn't a field goal. I don't know what it was. Anyways, 2 touchdowns on their 4 third down attempts, and they had 28 plays. So 24 of those plays were either first or second downs, and on those plays, they ended up getting first down. So one of them, actually, I take that back, was a 3 and out, because that's, I think, what they started the half with on one of those possessions. But just fantastic from the Colts offense. I mean, they were, Jack Doyle was heavily involved in the second half, especially on that one drive. I think he caught like 3 or 4 balls on that one. I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch, honestly. It seemed like Andrew Luck had like 350 passing yards. He didn't quite have that. And it was not like Buffalo, where you saw he wasn't throwing the ball, but the attempts weren't really all that different. Like 4 or 5 attempts difference is about all that there was. And the Colts have a phenomenal running game now. They're under 30 attempts the last 2 games because of this running game. This is happening, and this is good for the Colts. I cannot remember the last time we talked about the Colts having a solid run game. We saw a 49-yard run from Marlon Mack. Tell me the last time we saw that. It had to have been Donald Brown. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Donald Brown had the longest run of the Colts since he's been around, and he didn't have a ton of them. But the Colts did a really nice job offensively, both on the ground and through the air. Let's get into this. The defense a little bit was shaky. I mean, they allowed Carr to eat them up. The defense was just, I mean, they just had a lot of open zones. The running game started to kind of fall apart as far as the defensively in the second half. The Colts only allowed 29 rushing yards in the first half. They allowed 74 in the second. So they allowed the Raiders to get their momentum going on both the ground and through the air as well. Derek Carr, only 4 incompletions until the final drive of the game. I mean, he was killing it. He had 244 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The Colts only got 1 quarterback hit, no sacks, and 1 pass defense all freaking day. That is impossible to understand. I mean, it was back and forth. The Colts are lucky they didn't turn the ball over, right? Because the Colts were not stopping the Raiders. The Colts took the lead early, got up, 14 something, and then, 10-0. And then the Raiders came back. and took the lead 14-13 or 14-10. The Colts got back with 14-13, but then after that, the Colts scored a 2-point or a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion, tied it up at 21, and then it was nip and tuck the whole way through after that. 21 or 28-21, 28-28, and then the Colts finally stopped the Raiders on third down and got off the field. That was the turning point in the game. Colts go down and score a touchdown. Next possession, the Colts force a fumble, another touchdown. That's literally the difference in the game. That is almost like the Raiders played like the Colts do in a lot of times. They stay close, they look good, and then in the last few minutes, they fall apart, and it's a 2-score game, and it looks like a blowout. But the Colts were on the other end of this time, so a lot of fun to watch with that. Like I said, Colts only allowed 103 rushing yards all day. 74 of those came in the second half. Luck was 22 of 31 for 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was excellent all day. Excellent. All 3 tight ends had touchdowns today, and they were all like amazing touchdowns at that. Mo Alley Cox had that one-handed grab in the end zone. That was phenomenal. Doyle got some yards after the catch and stretched for the pylon. That was great. Ebron, he won on that 50-50 ball in the front corner of the end zone for a touchdown. So the three touchdowns that the tight ends got today were fantastic, great in nature. So that was fun to watch. It was a big day for Doyle. 6 catches, 70 yards after being used really sparingly until the fourth quarter, and one drive in particular, like I said. So it was nice to see him get back. I was a little curious, and especially in the first half, I thought that might be what we'd see. In other words, I thought that we might not see a lot from Doyle. I thought Doyle might be just kind of hit and miss, a few plays in, get a couple catches, and be done. Hilton was the guy who was like invisible. I mean, he had 5 targets, which kind of blows my mind in the first place. I don't remember the 5 targets. I remember a few of them. But then he had that 134-yard catch down the middle. It was a great catch. A really nice throw from Luck. I thought it was actually going to get picked off because of the 2 safeties converging on the ball, but it wasn't. And that was it from TY. So little strange. Last week, I don't think he caught a ball either. I mean, my brain's kind of a mess right now thinking about everything all at once, but I think that was his only catch in the past 2 weeks. Dontrell Inman, very interesting, right? He gets in, last week? That's his first game, comes in, is helpful, not a big part of the game, but today you see Andrew Luck. I mean, he's a big help for this receiving core, I think. You don't see them relying on Chester Rogers right now. You see Pascal in there, but they're not relying on him. Inman had a total of 6 grabs today, too. He and Doyle led the team with 6 catches. He had 52 yards. In 3 of those, he had 4 targets on third down. He converted on 3 of those. 3 of his 6 catches were actual third down conversions. That should tell you kind of where Andrew Luck's head at. And we got to give credit to Frank Reich here. Frank Reich has a past with Inman from their days in San Diego. He brought him in, knew he was a reliable guy. Andrew Luck seems to think he's pretty reliable too. Made that fantastic catch. Remember that in the first quarter, that catch coming across the middle. I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal. And almost made a touchdown grab kind of the same nature. So Dontrell Inman is proving to be not an elite player by any means, not like the target for the Colts, obviously. I mean, we saw how much the tight ends were used today, but he is proving to be a very reliable third down target for Andrew Luck. And as much as you get that from your running backs and from your tight ends, especially Doyle, at least in the past, it's nice to see a receiver actually stepping up and becoming a third down reliable guy on third down. And it's a big help. I thought that was interesting as far as where he went. Marlon Mack, 132 rushing yards, had that big 49-yard burst. That was nice. We have not seen a big play like that, like I said. And I'm pretty sure that it was Donald Brown, the last time we saw something that long. Had 2 touchdowns. He had 25 carries today. By far the most of his career. In 2017, his top number was 11 carries. This year, it was 19 last week. And then today, 25. So you see, I mean, they are willing to use him just as much as they're willing to throw Andrew Luck 50 times to win. They're willing to use Marlon Mack. And they rotated the running backs. Jordan Wilkins only had 2 carries, but Nyheim Hines had a hell of a game too, right? I think he had, 74, 78 rushing yards. He was up there, over 7 yards a carry. I mean, he looked good. And he was running between the tackles. Very, very happy to see that. He has been a weapon. He's been the slot receiver. He's been a guy that can help out of the backfield a little bit in the passing game. But we hadn't really seen him turn it on in terms of running the ball, and especially not running the ball between the tackles. Very impressed of him today. I thought that was awesome. And we're also seeing that this Colts offensive line can both pass protect and run the ball. Did Andrew Luck get sacked today? What was that, 3 weeks in a row? I mean, that's impressive, you know? Really nice to see this running game. I can't talk about it enough because it's just impressive. You don't ever want the Colts to rely solely on the running game or have to. You don't want the Colts to ever have to rely solely on the passing game. You mesh the two. You've got a nice little piece going there where you can rotate it between receivers, running backs, and tight ends in the passing game. You can get a couple different guys finding holes and some space to move in the running game. Man, that makes this offense so much better. And Andrew Luck does not feel the pressure that way. Excellent stuff. You have to love this. Let's see. Leonard again led the team in tackles tonight. 9 total tackles. Had a huge forced fumble, literally just swung and clubbed that ball away on a day in which linebackers really struggled to tackle. In fact, DeSer actually led the team in solo stops with 5. That should tell you that I mean, they were struggling to tackle. We were seeing the safety group get burnt in the passing game. We were seeing them not wrap up and finish. I don't think we saw a lot of missed tackles from the linebackers. I think what we saw is a lot of the offensive linemen from the Raiders getting to the second level and kind of walling off our linebackers for the most part, because they ran the ball a lot for them. And we just didn't see a lot of real quality tackling, I don't think, from the linebackers. And we didn't really see a ton of opportunity for them too in that regard because they were being knocked off. Sheard, he kind of got handled all day today. And if I'm not mistaken, it was by a rookie. So, I mean, their offensive line really protected Carr really well. And our guys just could not get through. It was crazy. I mean, at one time, I remember watching Sheard 3 straight snaps, and he was just getting locked up. Marcus Hunt was getting locked up. Al Woods was getting blown off the ball. I mean, this is not what we are typical. Danico Autry he overran I don't know how many times he overran the running game, but he was pushed out of bounds at least 2 or 3 times because he was just running aimlessly. That's not like him. He's always around the ball. He's always in there looking like he is going to be close to getting a tackle. He was not today. He was like just haphazardly running almost, it seemed. So we need this defensive line to get a spark. Maybe that's Tyquan Lewis in week 10. Maybe. Colts have a bye week now, can get healthy. Hopefully, can get Tyquan Lewis in there. Man, that would be a monster help. If he comes in and actually produces like the Colts see him producing, he could be huge. I mean, Grover Stewart hasn't really done a whole lot lately. Hassan Ridgeway was inactive. All kinds of stuff. So we got this defensive line that really needs a nice spark and a big burst. And, hopefully Tyquan Lewis can be the guy to get it. We talked about the new TickPick promo code, guys. Let's check this out real quick. Let me tell you about TickPick. Honestly, we have got a great deal for you guys. Let me tell you about TickPick, this amazing app to buy tickets to any game, concert, or other event. If you're looking for tickets to this week's game and want to know exactly what you're going to pay for those tickets, you got to check out TickPick. I do. And if you do too, then TickPick and their amazing and simple app is right up your alley. The TickPick app is extremely easy to use. And best of all, there are absolutely no surprises at checkout. 0. Listen, you find the game, find the seats you want, and you're all set. Think StubHub without any fees. Literally 0, guys. I'm not kidding. That is why I'm doing this, is because of how much I love the app and buying tickets on there. You get the same tickets, same seller, but absolutely 0 fees. You save 10 to 15% on every ticket order. And get this, for our listeners, they're offering an amazing offer of $15 off any single order over $99 through 11/30/18, November 30th, 2018. All you have to do is enter Stampede 15 as your gift code at checkout. This isn't a sign up only offer either. They went all in for you guys. So even if you are already a member of TickPick and you've got the app and all that, and you've used tickets in the before, you're still good for this. All you got to do is do it. You can just do it one time, but you're good. Not only do I use TickPick, but I approached them and wanted to get the word out about this company because it was so stinking easy, and nobody likes to find the seats they want, then get that smack in the face at checkout of another $35 to $50 in fees being added. It's exactly why I quit using the other ones. I'll never use another ticket app again. It's a very user-friendly app, and you get the same great tickets with lightning quick ticket transfers. Remember, that's TickPick, TickPick, and use the gift code Stampede15 to save yourself $15 on any order over $99. Go to TickPick and take advantage of this great offer today. 100% verified Colts tickets without any fees. Please check them out. You guys don't know what you're missing if you're using something else. So let's get back to it. Let's talk about some of the things that we saw the Colts do today. The Colts were 9 of 13 on third down. I mean, that's awesome, right? I mean, a couple of those Inman catches even were of 10 or 11 yards on third down. Excellent. I mean, they were fantastic. They were dialing up the right plays. They were executing them. Luck was protected. You can't really ask for that much more of that. The Colts were 3 of 5 in the red zone. I think the first half they weren't great. I think they scored once or twice, and in the red zone, or one of 3 or something like that. Anyways, they were 3 of 5 for the game. That's pretty good. 60% red zone efficiency. You want it maybe a little higher than that if you can. 4 out of 5 would have been great. Obviously 80%, but 3 of 5. Man, you take that when you're on the road, right? In house, you want maybe 4 or 5 or 4 of 5. They also had 10 penalties. Now, this is something that it was just getting ridiculous. Penalty after penalty after penalty. But listen here. So the penalties do suck, and they do cost yardage, and they do set you back. But none gave the Raiders a first down. The Raiders did not gain a first down off of any of the Colts penalties. That seems like a big deal. Conversely, the Colts earned 4 first downs from the Raiders penalties. They both had 10 on the day. Almost the exact same yardage, like a yard or 2 off. The Colts benefited from the Raiders penalties, whereas the Raiders did not benefit from the Colts penalties. And Andrew Luck, honestly, was kind of the savior in all that. He was really the guy who stepped up and made those penalties. I mean, they had guys catching the ball, going downfield, making yards after the catch. Really, those penalties, as much as they kind of sucked and kind of made you annoyed that they were doing anything. One of them was on that Pierre Desir line where he lined up offsides. That's another thing that aggravated me, because I'm watching the games, even the early game, the game in London with the Eagles and the Jaguars. Then I'm watching the Seahawks play, and in both of those games, I think I counted at least 5 or 6 offsides that were not called. It's becoming like a judgment call for referees and umpire inside the line judges and all. It's ridiculous. If they're going to call it, then call it. But there are so many times they just look at it, they don't care. I don't understand what the deal is, and they're obvious. I mean, there's defensive guys lined up with their hand literally on the other side of the ball. There's offensive guys lined up, receivers. I saw at least 2 receivers today lined up a half a yard past the ball. If they're going to call it, they've got to call it all the time. Why is it a judgment call, and why aren't these guys seeing it down the line of scrimmage when it's so blatantly obvious on TV? It's easier to see. That is one thing that is easier to see when you're on the field, especially when you are marking the line of scrimmage. There's no excuse for that. That's something that the league, honestly, and it seems petty, but the league has to get over this, where it's just like, don't call it if you don't want. It's simple. It's stupid. But you either have a line of scrimmage that can't be crossed before the ball is snapped, or you do, or you don't. I mean, which is it? Let's figure it out, because it's kind of annoying that they're doing it, especially when they're doing it like on the half-yard line. What the hell's the point? What is the point in that? Not only that, but Desir wasn't even lined up like in the box. He was lined up on the line of scrimmage, but he was down a little bit off the tight end. So I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. If that's the judgment, then why do it to a guy who's not lined up in the box? I don't understand. Anyways, the Colts didn't have any turnovers today. Obviously, that was a major plus. The penalties, and you add those two together, like I said, most of which, the penalties anyways, were overcame because of Luck's brilliance. They didn't extend any Raiders drives. It seems as though they didn't really shoot themselves in the foot at all that much between the two. No turnovers, 10 penalties, but none really benefited the Raiders in any way. They outscored the Raiders 21-0 in the fourth quarter, and that's a very, very nice change, folks, from what we've seen in the past couple years. I mean, last year the Colts were absolutely dog butt crappy with fourth quarter scoring. It was awful. I mean, I think they scored 3 touchdowns the entire year in the fourth quarter. The Colts scored 3 today. I mean, that's a big difference. That's the luck factor, right? It's just, you just want that. That's what you need. It's absolutely pertinent that the team can do that. Mac kicks it outside when he had a few times when he had some open lanes inside to start the game, but you didn't really notice it too much because he was still getting some positive yardage, but the Raiders early were kind of locking down those edges. And that was kind of one of the things that I saw as well. But I'll be honest, overall, I thought that the Colts played a fantastic game. I thought that, I mean, they did not play good on defense. There's no two ways about it. But again, they come up with a play. They come up with a third down stop when they absolutely have to have one. Both of those 2 back-to-back possessions ended up being the difference in the game. If you're going to allow a team to go up and down the field on you, but you can make a play and you can make a stop when you have to, that is still the hallmark of a team with great coaching and great leadership. Am I right? I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke here, but to me, it seems like the Colts really have the right idea with what they're doing, both in the coaching and where they come in with their leadership on the team. I think that these guys have excellent veterans on the team. They ended up, it was weird too, but they did this against, like, I think that it's a pass rush that really got to me, the lack of pass rush. And they didn't have Kelechi Osemele. They, like I said, one of them, I think Brandon Parker, started at right tackle. That guy was like, I don't even know if he was drafted. I mean, he might have been 4th round. I honestly don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's the name I heard. And he's a rookie from like North Carolina A&T. And Jabal Shear just got manhandled by him all day. So maybe I'm completely wrong. That was the name that I heard, and it made me. I remembered it because I watched him on film during the offseason. So, I mean, if we're going to look at guys who continue to play right, we're looking at Darius Leonard. I mean, we're looking at Andrew Luck. We're looking at that offensive line. We're looking at Mac. We're looking at Nyheim Hines really stepping up today and getting those 70-some yards. You know, those were absolutely crucial. I mean, he was in between the tackles. A lot of it was inside the 2-minute warning in the second quarter, but that was important. The Colts put points up. I mean, it wasn't a touchdown, but they did get a field goal before the half. So, I mean, what are we going to do? We need, the defensive line needs a spark bad. I think that they're going to get it. I think that Tyquan Lewis is that guy. I hope that he is. I loved him inside watching his film this past year. If you look far back enough on our YouTube channel, you can find it. I did a quick, I think about a 5 to 8 minute thing on him where I hoped that the Colts would get him, where he was known as an edge rusher, or at least through the draft process. But all of his explosion and all of his anything that he did as far as disrupting running backs or getting in and really sacking the quarterback or pressuring the quarterback came when he would kick inside. He has an elite first step. He has not really shown us much of anything other than in training camp. It would be nice to get him back. And apparently he has been working his butt off in the during the season to get back. And people said that he's working out each week, like week 5, week 6, as if he's playing that week. So you know he's in a good place. When he's able to come back in week 10, he's going to be back. He's going to be back. And the Colts will have a lot more versatility up front, and they're going to need it. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully he gives the Colts that spark, and hopefully the Colts can really make this run, memorable as you move into the second half of the season after the bye. So other than that, guys, I mean, we all saw the same thing. Nip and tuck game after a certain point. Colts end up making a big change and turn the game around there at the end. Derek Carr loosened them up. They ended up making a couple stops, and that really was kind of the not only the turning point, but the thesis of the game. I mean, the Colts have a possibility to have an elite offense, even though they don't have any playmakers, it seems like. I mean, look, Hilton hasn't done much. They've got a great tight end room still, and they've still, I mean, they even lost Johnson at the beginning, or Daryl Johnson at the beginning of the game, or the beginning of the season, excuse me. Travis Ross, he was gone. They still got it. I mean, how about that catch today from Mo Alley Cox? That was phenomenal. I didn't even think he caught it because it never left his glove once his hand touched it. And he never even tried to go back up and get it with a second hand. I mean, so the Colts have a very good tight end room. The Colts have an excellent offensive line right now. They've got Andrew Luck playing at a level that he has. I mean, we saw it in 2016, and he's there. He's fully healthy. He's set. They've got a running game now. Like I said, Inman, third down efficiency at the wide receiver position. You've got T.Y. Hilton, who's going to have 2 weeks now to get healthy. I mean, this offense could be elite. It could be, even though they don't have that second or third playmaker, especially on in the wide receiver core. Right now, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're putting up a ton of points a game. They are just roasting teams right now on through both the air and the ground. It's the defense that has to find that 2006 Colts defense where they make plays at the ends of games. They have games where they shut the run down. They have games where they force 2 and 3 and 4 turnovers. Those have to come. They're going to get beat defensively a lot because of the defensive scheme is structured that way, that there's too many holes in there. You get a good quarterback and you're going to struggle, but you've got to find other ways to either get the ball back or stop one aspect of their offense. And right now, the defense, one thing they've done every single game this year, they've forced a turnover. They have to keep doing that, especially when you're only getting one hit on the quarterback, no sacks, and your secondary is not knocking the ball down. All important aspects of the game, all very important, especially for the Colts, the way that their team is aligned on either side of the ball. Special teams has been okay. Obviously, Vinny did awesome today. I mean, I guess I didn't even mention that, and I probably should have. Vinny took the all-time NFL points leading score or record. That is amazing and within itself. And outside of last week, Vinatieri's been pretty fantastic again this year. So, I mean, when you look at all three aspects of the Colts, right now, their offense is borderline elite. I think that. I mean, maybe I might be, pumping them up a little bit, but I'll put it this way: they're borderline great. Okay, right now with all aspects involved, they've got a top 10 offensive line. They've got a top 5 quarterback. Right now, they're rushing the ball as good or better than anybody. I mean, you've got to love all three of those. And then their defense right now, that's kind of their weakness, but at the same time, that's the side of the ball that's kind of turning the games. You're nip and tuck, and then you get a turnover or you get a big stop on third down. You give the ball back to Andrew Luck, and he takes over. This is a very fun team to watch. 3-5. This team could easily have a mirrored record. Could be 5-3. Easily could be 5-3 this year. It's a shame they're not, because if they were, everybody'd be like, okay, who's coming out of the AFC South? Well, look, let me tell you something. I do not believe in the Texans, and this isn't because I'm a Colts fan. This is because I don't think the Texans are anywhere near as good as their record at 5-3. I think the Colts are a better team at 3-5 than they are at 5-3, period. The Colts had no business losing that game that they had against the Texans in Indy. They spotted them 14 points, for crying out loud, and they went into overtime. That right there tells you exactly what everything except those 2 fumbles caused the Colts. It cost them the game. Absolutely. Nothing at the end of the game, whether you go for it on 4th down or any of that other crap, matters. None of that matters, because they spotted them 14 points to start the game. You look at the Jaguars, they're a dumpster fire. Look at the Titans, they're a dumpster fire. The Colts very well could come out of the AFC South this year. I don't think they're going to have a good enough record to they might, to really battle for the wild card. I just don't think that that's their route. I don't think that's their path to get there. So the Colts have a chance. They're 2 games out. Heavy AFC South. I mean, look, you want to put your mark on this season? Go kick the crap out of your own division. You've got games against Dallas. You got games against the Giants. And you got, where's the other game? I can't remember the other game. It doesn't really matter. The point is, they don't have a team on the schedule right now that you can look at. And Chris Wessling said this, I believe, the other day on Twitter. They don't, and it's true, because they do not have a team on their schedule right now that you look at and go, no, that's a loss. Oh, the Dolphins, that's their other team they play. None of those teams. There isn't a single team on the rest of their schedule that you can look at and say, there's no way the Colts win that game. The Colts should be in every single game, and I think that they should win most of them. I think that they've got the best offense of any of those teams, bar none. And they don't have crap in the wide receiver. That's what makes this weird. This is not the Colts offense we're used to talking about. This is not normal, right? We know that we've got an Andrew Luck that can carry the team, but man, when's the last time we talked about a top 10 offensive line with the Colts? When's the last time we talked about back-to-back 100-yard games? 250 rushing yards for Marlon Mack the past 2 weeks. When's the last time that we really talked about a dominant tight end room? Okay, it's always been either Jack Doyle or Dwayne Allen or both of them together, and one of them's outdoing the other. But I mean, basically, the first year when we had Coby Fleener and Dwayne Allen was the year that we thought we really had a real tandem there. I would take even Swoop. He didn't even play today. I would take Swoop over Dwayne Allen and Coby Fleener right now, without a question. So the Colts have a lot going for them, guys. I'm going to pump this and until they prove me wrong. They could lose several of those games. We've seen the ups and downs from this team, but they've also got plenty in the tank to win out, if not most of the games. So thank you guys for coming back. Like I said, it's our first time back on YouTube in a while. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching, make sure you guys take advantage of that TickPick promo, $15 off $99 or more. Make sure you guys do that. It's a great company, great offer. You guys will appreciate what you get for there. I mean, you look on there and literally there's my ticket price. When you go to checkout, unless you're getting it shipped to you from FedEx or somewhere else that costs money, that's what your ticket price is. Plain and simple. You'll love it. I did. That's why I go through them. That's why you guys will enjoy it too. Stampede 15 at checkout. Thank you guys all for watching. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Colts Cast.